Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 7 of our WWE 2024 Save and TEW 2020. This is SmackDown for February week 2. We were trying to keep pace with SmackDown and Raw in reality, but we got a couple days behind. That's okay. We'll try to catch up here maybe soon. But yeah, again, we're not trying to necessarily mirror what's going on in reality, but we are trying to just sort of keep pace in terms of the timing of everything. So that's all right. We'll try to catch up, as I said, maybe over the next couple of weeks. But for now, we got to get to SmackDown, and I see you guys gave your reaction on the whole WrestleMania 40 kickoff event, kind of how WWE has changed course in reality when it comes to the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns situation. Will that, change anything for this particular series? Perhaps. There may be some things we add into the mix that play off of reality. Won't be the exact same thing, but there are some things that I have some ideas for based on how we've seen them sort of go in this direction now to lead to the Cody versus Roman match. But we'll get to that when we do. Let's start off the SmackDown, though, with a video package recapping the Bloodline's message to Cody. So we see the highlights from the previous week's SmackDown, where you had Solo Sikoa drag Cody out, sit him in front of the head of the table, Roman Reigns, and Roman sending a message about how he's going to try to end Cody. We had Paul Heyman finishing up on Raw, kind of going over there and saying that they were going to be the ones to finish Cody's story at WrestleMania. So just kind of showcasing everything that we've seen over the past week from the Bloodline and how they are really just intimidating Cody here, taking him out, beating him down, to all those things. And we haven't, of course, seen Cody since that beatdown last week on SmackDown. So that's kind of how we set it up here, is just a package sort of recapping everything. We'll see what's to come on the SmackDown following up on that. 82 for this segment. Right afterwards, what do we get? We get LA Knight. He makes his way out, and LA Knight grabs the microphone and makes it very simple. He says he's not waiting around for AJ Styles. Styles, of course, tagged him, as we saw last week after the main event, where LA Knight teamed up with Kevin Owens to take on Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. It was Styles attacking, commentary pushing, because, clearly these two had involvement with each other at the Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble for the championship. So Knight just says he's not waiting around. He knows AJ Styles is here, so come on out and let's just keep this thing going. Like, he's ready for a fight. So Styles comes out, and we can just kind of hear Styles. He doesn't have a microphone. We can just hear him kind of saying, "You cost me everything. You cost me at the Royal Rumble." And so Styles is just yelling at LA Knight, and LA Knight just there, takes off his jacket, and Styles hits the ring, and we're on to round 2 here. Like, these two guys going at it once again. So we get the back and forth between LA Knight and AJ Styles. We get some officials running out to kind of break these two up. But again, the tension's very high here. These two just trying to get at each other, with Styles just continuing to yell that LA Knight's the one that cost him everything. So a very upset AJ Styles here for sure. LA Knight just yelling back at him, telling him, bring it on. You want to fight? Let's keep fighting. All that usual stuff. So just, again, kind of escalating what we saw last week. They brawled, away from everything last week after the main event. This week, the brawl continues between LA Knight and AJ Styles. Yes, we will find out a little bit more about what has led to this anger from AJ Styles, and we will find that out soon enough. So, there you go. Just kind of a little pull-apart brawl here to start things off with these two just wanting to get their hands on each other yet again. So, 81 for the segment. You guys probably know where this is leading eventually, but again, we'll have a little more background details on this here coming up soon enough. So, all right, now we get to our first match, and it is the one we hyped up last week, the 6-man tag, as it is call them whatever you want. You can call them the Hurt Business, whatever you want to call them. That's how they're put in this particular mod. Bobby Lashley, Angelo Dawkins, Montez Ford, they get the win over the Final Testament of Karrion Kross, Akam, and Razor. 8:25, Lashley pins Razor with a spear. So really not a whole lot more to add on this. This was, again, coming off the Royal Rumble. We played into the reality, where you had these guys interact with each other at the Rumble after an elimination and that kind of stuff. So we set that up last week to kind of have the big match this week. And so if the babyface is getting the win here, and we'll see if there's anything else to come in this particular story. 64 for the match. All right, now we get Adam Pearce, who has made his way to SmackDown here to visit with Nick Aldis. As we know, these two have been in high negotiations for several different free agents that are, coming up to the main roster. And so they're just kind of bantering back and forth here. And they also kind of discussed the Cody situation. And, all this is just asking, have you had any update on Cody? And Pierce is like, we have not. I've tried to reach him. I've not been able to reach Cody. So there is no update. I can't give you one right now based on everything that's going on. But we're trying to get something on Cody and see what's going on there. So they update the Cody situation there. But then Pierce says, but there's something else I have for you. And Adam Pierce reaches, into his coat pocket here, and Pierce pulls out a tape of some sort. So we've got some kind of, disc, tape, whatever you want to call it. Like, he's got something there, and he just says, this was given to me, and I think it's something you're going to need to see. So Pierce hands it over. Nick Aldis, a little curious what this is about, and these two kind of, go their separate ways here, with Pierce handing over some kind of mystery tape or disc or something to Nick Aldis. So 66 for the segment here. And yeah, we just put Cody on the screen to try to get a little rating, but it didn't really help here for whatever reason. We just put the wrong, probably segment stuff in place. So there's that. So on to the next part. And as we get to that, so it said Pierce left, but in comes the trio of Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller. And they come in saying that, they heard that Aldis was looking for him. They heard that he needed to speak with them. And again, it's Logan Paul just playing up, sort of, he has no worries in the world right now. Like, after last week, yeah, they got the win, but it's okay. Like, come on, let's not kid ourselves. It doesn't matter. I've got this U.S. title around my shoulder and all that. Like, he's really playing this up. But then Nick Aldis says, well, Logan, you also know that tonight's main event is going to be Kevin Owens going one-on-one with Austin Theory. And Paul's like, yeah, so what? Well, what does that matter? Doesn't, like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. And so Aldis just says, well, it's not that simple. Because he says, I've added a stipulation to this match tonight. And that is this. Austin Theory must defeat Kevin Owens. And if he doesn't, then Kevin Owens gets a shot at your United States Championship again in a rematch at Elimination Chamber. So Aldis has set the stipulation here, and Paul is just saying, what? What are you talking about? And Theory's like, calm down. I'm going to beat him. You don't have to worry about anything. I'm going to beat this guy. And, Waller's just kind of talking him up too there, and Theory's very confident. Paul's just like, what are you doing? You can't do that. And Aldis says, I absolutely can. I'm the SmackDown general manager, and that's what's at stake tonight. Theory must defeat Kevin Owens, or you're facing him and defending that title at Elimination Chamber. So, yes, there you go. Just kind of playing it up there, and Aldis also makes it clear that none of the other two, Logan Paul or Grayson Waller, can interfere against Kevin Owens, or if they do, that will also result in the match being made official that Owens will challenge Logan Paul at Elimination Chamber. So a couple of different things here added to the mix. Theory must win. The other two can't get involved. A lot at stake here. And so they're going to have to put everything on the line here for Theory to defeat Kevin Owens. And Paul is just kind of looking around. He says, we'll talk about it. So they leave out of the picture. So that's your setup for tonight's main event, 59 for the segment. All right, now we get to Santos Escobar getting the win over Cameron Grimes here, 59 overall. Boy, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like this, I'm excited for the draft coming up. I know it's not until after WrestleMania, but we need to freshen up some of these rosters, especially SmackDown, because it's kind of, it's not exactly, it doesn't have the depth of the Raw roster, which makes sense. You got a 3-hour show versus a 2-hour show. I understand why that is the case in reality, but there's just not a lot of depth here, and it's kind of going to, I'd like to tweak some things to give us a few more interesting stories and match possibilities. So, unfortunately for Cameron Grimes, he's lost 2 weeks in a row here, but there's not a lot of other options in terms of guys I can sort of feed to, some of these heels that are in bigger storylines. So, Escobar gets the win over Grimes here. And it is worth noting, before this match, I just had nowhere to put it as an angle. Escobar is just kind of, looking around. He's talking to, Garza and Carrillo, and sort of continue to ask, where is he at? And we, of course, he's asking, where is he at? We know who he's talking about. He's talking about Andrade. They were supposed to meet this week. Remember, that was sort of the plan. But Escobar is kind of playing up that he's been looking around for Andrade and still can't find him. So he's asking people, around ringside if they've seen Andrade, all this other stuff. So it's kind of one of the things we wanted to add in here from a detail standpoint. But 59 for the match, not great stuff, but it is what it is. All right, now we get here, and commentary throws it to Nick Aldis, and he makes it official. He says, I've seen all I need to see. These two guys don't like each other, and the way I see it, if there are two guys that don't like each other, we're going to solve it in the ring. And so all this makes it official that at Elimination Chamber, we are going to see a one-on-one match between LA Knight and AJ Styles, unfinished business here between these two. And like I said, we'll get more kind of, motivation and all that stuff from AJ Styles here coming up next week on SmackDown. But for now, all this says, hey, we're going to solve this very easily. These two are going to fight, and they can do whatever they want to each other, essentially. So after the pull-apart brawl earlier, after the brawl last week, it is official that these two will square off at Elimination Chamber. So 78, good segment here with all these guys doing very well here from an improv standpoint. All right, now, speaking of Garza and Carrillo, they're going to hang around because they're in tag team action as they get a win over the OC, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. Again, man, there is just not a lot to choose from here in terms of like people who have actually been active in WWE, like on the babyface side. Because we have some of them in storylines that we just, we don't need Garza and Carrillo beating them. But elsewhere, there's definitely kind of a lack of what we need right now. But as you'll see, we're going to make some changes that are going to help that out for sure. But for now, we're kind of picking and choosing here and trying to find the best combination. So 61, that's actually didn't do that bad. But we are kind of pushing, that like Del Fantasma are on a bit of a roll here. With Escobar winning earlier, Garza and Carrillo get the win here. So they get the victory, 750 over the OC, which, to be completely honest, I have no plans for right now. Like, I'm sorry. I don't have any plans for these two at the moment. So, anyways. All right. Now we get backstage. And who is it? He is there. The one and only Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, who has kind of been everywhere. So, now, this gets an 83. Again, I'd like this to be a little bit better anytime Reigns is in it. But I think this was a little shorter, actually, than we have most Reigns segments. But just didn't have time to put it in. So Heyman, talking to Roman Reigns, he said, I know, Tribal Chief, that you wanted to wait to have this conversation now about what happened on Raw. So I'm going to just make it very clear what happened there. I saw Seth Rollins, I saw Sami Zayn, but, I also saw Jey Uso. And, Roman kind of perks up a little bit when he hears the name Jey Uso. And Heyman just says, he said to let you know and let everybody in the bloodline know that he's not finished with us yet. And we see Reigns just kind of giving a very stern stare at Heyman here as he, hears that coming out of his mouth. And then Reigns just starts laughing. He's like, Jay? He's like, are you kidding me? He said, you know what, wise man, what all those guys have in common, all those names you just mentioned, I've beaten every one of them. He says, if Jay thinks he's got unfinished business, then he can find his way to me, and I'll finish the business again. And, sort of just saying that, hey, that's kind of just Roman playing up that he's beaten everybody. Rollins, Zayn, Jay. And so it's Reigns just kind of brushing it off here. And he says, but now that I think about it, they also have something in common with Cody Rhodes. He says, I've beaten him too. And so Reigns just says, wise man, don't worry about anything anybody says, because as we've seen, it doesn't matter what anybody says. When we get in the ring, actions speak louder than words. And he says, we're going to go back out there tonight, and we're going to see if old Cody has taken an action of his own to try to get out of this match with me at WrestleMania 40. So Reigns just really, pretty nonchalant here. He's not worried about anything. He's just kind of proving, and he's not wrong, that he's beaten all these guys. He's not worried about Jay and all this other stuff. So Heyman seeming a little more worried than Reigns, but Reigns not worried at all. 83 for this one. All right, now we get a backstage segment with Bayley, who is there with Io Sky, Asuka, Kairi Sane. As we remember, Bayley and Dakota Kai went to Raw. They were supposed to meet the other three there because they had planned this the week before on SmackDown, that they were all going to go, as guests, and they were going to go to Raw, make the announcement official on her WrestleMania opponent, and these three didn't show up. So Bayley is just trying to, sort of ask, but we are noting here Dakota Kai is not with her. And Bayley notes Dakota's not here because she got thrown around by Nia Jax just like I did. But the problem was Dakota already had an injury and she's further injured now. And so she couldn't be here tonight. And Bayley's like, I don't even know if you three can understand what I'm saying. But she's like, I want to know, where were you? And, these three are just all trying to sort of talk at the same time. And they're all just kind of, doing some different, hand signals and this kind of stuff and that kind of stuff. And Bayley's just like, you know what? Just stop. Like, just stop. Like, I will call Dakota. We will get this taken care of. But look, she's not here because you weren't there for us. You were not there. And look what happened. And so Bayley's just like, you can tell she's a little bit pissed off here. And you can just kind of tell the other three are like, apologizing. They're just like, apologizing for this and everything. And so Bayley's like, whatever. Like, I'm going to call Dakota. I'm going to check on her, and we can try to get all this figured out. I want to know where you were. Like, basically, that's what Bayley's asking. And so she walks out, and she, has her phone, and so she's going to call Dakota as the three just kind of stand there and then start to head to the ring because Asuka's going to be in action coming up next. So 62 for this one. And like I said, Asuka is in action. She's going to get the win over Shotzi. 441. The spin kick does it here. So, again, not a great match, but it serves a purpose. It's just, I just needed to get Asuka in action. Basically, that's kind of what this came down to here, without question. So, just needed to get her in action on this because it's a pretty packed card, and I needed to do something here. So, Asuka gets the win over Shotzi. But then afterwards, we have Damage Control at ringside. Of course, Bayley has sort of gathered back with them here. And so they're all at ringside. Here comes Nick Aldis. And Aldis makes his way down, and you can tell that everyone's just kind of looking around here trying to figure out what Nick Aldis is doing. So he goes over, he grabs the microphone, and this gets a 60 rating here. And Aldis just says, ladies, I just wanted to come out here because I was given something very interesting a bit earlier from Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. As I saw Bayley say, she and Dakota Kai were by themselves on Raw on Monday, and it resulted, unfortunately, in, Bayley getting attacked and also Dakota Kai seemingly getting further injured at the hands of Nia Jax. And Aldis just says, it was a very unfortunate situation that I'm sure could have been prevented. But then I realized that maybe it could not have been prevented because there was someone who made sure that Nia Jax got her hands on Bayley and Dakota Kai. And that's when Aldis looks at the screen and says, let me show you what I'm talking about. And so we get this camera footage that is rolling here, and we see Nia Jax standing, kind of, you can only see Nia Jax, but you can tell she's talking to someone, and you see Nia talking to someone, and all of a sudden you see like this envelope being handed to Nia Jax. So again, we can still only see Nia, we can see the envelope being handed to her, and that's kind of, where we're at this point. And so Nia grabs the envelope, she sort of nods her head, and then she walks away, and as Nia walks away, we see three a little too excited people who barely make their way into the camera view here before maybe thinking better of it and not realizing there's a camera there and then just sort of going back into the parking lot, whatever. It is Io Sky, Asuka, Kairi Sane, who were there at Raw, and they have just been busted via the camera footage at, backstage at Raw. And so, wherever they met, in the deep corners of the building, we see the footage here that they have handed over something to Nia Jax, which we're just going to assume some sort of payment of some sort, right? Like, Nia Jax just taking money to put out, like, hits here or something. And so Bayley sees this, and Bayley turns, and these three are just, they are just standing there kind of stunned, realizing that they have been caught for some reason. And then you see all three of them trying to sort of say, wait, like, hold on a second here, hold on. And Bayley is just fuming. And you can see Bayley, she is losing it here. And that's when we see Bayley start to go towards them, but they're able to make their way out of the ring. And Bayley is just going off as these three retreat here. And Bayley left just completely angry. She's throwing, everything around. And Aldous is staring at Bayley as all of this is going on. And what happens? Bayley just says, she grabs the microphone away from him and says, hold on a second. Hold on. Before you three run away like the cowards that you are, I've got something to say. And that's when Bayley says, I'm going to make my official announcement of who I'm going to face at WrestleMania 40, and it's going to be you, EO. You tried to take my opportunity away from me by getting Nia Jax to take me out and Dakota. I'm going to take that championship away from you. And so Bayley just delivering her message here that she makes it official. She is going to challenge Io Sky at WrestleMania. So there you have it. It was kind of, I know a little bit of a different way than the actual breakup happened in reality, but we did kind of tie that in. We wanted to sort of add something into the mix here, but again, Dakota Kai seemingly getting the worst of this. She's been further injured, but Bayley realizes it, and Nick Aldis, the big reveal here, that it was these three who were in on the attack, Nia Jax on Bayley and Dakota Kai. So 60 here for this segment. It's official. Bayley versus Io Sky at WrestleMania 40. All right, now, my God, this was terrible. In a terrible match, Andrade gets the win over Zion Quinn here, 41. My goodness, this is a great start for Andrade in the ring. 453. This is my fault. It's not Andrade's fault. We kind of had this. I think we had this as storytelling. Yeah, so I shouldn't have did that. But we had to put it on one of these matches that were short, just because I didn't want to kind of take the rating down of any of the others. So Andrade will be fine. But yeah, this match definitely cooled the crowd a little bit on this one. But again, Andrade's in-ring debut. He gets the win here. Not a lot more to add other than that, because it's more about the bigger story. And even this 49, my goodness. Again, we got to get some popularity increases for this mid-card on SmackDown, because right now it is absolutely not working overall here. So here comes Santos Escobar, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo. They make their way out. Andrade's in the ring. He just got his victory. And we've got Santos. We've got all these three of these guys just clapping, congratulating Andrade on his victory. And that's when we see Escobar just kind of, make his way into the ring. Andrade still kind of giving a little bit of a stern stare as he did last week. And that is when Escobar, no microphone, anything. He just extends his hand and just sort of gives him the official invite, gives him this sign here for him to join their group. And Andrade just says, he's like, I'll let you know. I'll think about it. So he just says, I'll have my answer for you. I'll have my answer. So Escobar, they shake hands, and that's kind of that, as these three are just continue to kind of cheer on Andrade here as, Santos for the second time, as he did in the Royal Rumble. Then Andrade tried to throw him out. Escobar extending the invite for Andrade to join the group, and Andrade just walks off, and we leave it at that for this week on SmackDown. So 49 here for this one. All right, now we get Kevin Owens backstage with Byron Saxton. Yes, I finally found an interviewer. Byron was on SmackDown. He was branded on SmackDown. Raw, we still got a mess in terms of the interviewers, I think. I think we only got one, but finally realized, okay, we got to put Byron here on SmackDown and let him talk to some people. And he did a great job here. Masterful job of improvising. So 70 for the rating on this one. He's talking to Kevin Owens. What's his thoughts on tonight's match? Plus, what's his thoughts on all he has to do is, win the match, and he's going to get his championship rematch against Logan Paul at Elimination Chamber. So Owens just says, Austin Theory's never beaten me by himself. He's never done it. And so he says, that gives me even more confidence. I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to kick his ass tonight, is what Owens says. And I beat Waller last week. I'm going to beat Theory tonight, and then I'm going to go beat Logan Paul once and for all without any interference at Elimination Chamber. So Owens, pretty confident here heading into this match with Austin Theory. That is going to lead us into our main event, which is Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory. Is Owens going to get that rematch, or is Theory going to maybe do what many people don't think he can do, and that is defeat Kevin Owens? Here we go. And we get a 71 here for the match. And what happens? Well, Austin Theory does defeat Kevin Owens in 15:04 after Kevin Owens gets disqualified. Why? because Logan Paul gets involved and he hits Austin Theory to force the disqualification, which technically gives Austin Theory the win over Kevin Owens. Owens did not defeat Theory in this match. So you can tell, I added it earlier. I'm like, Logan Paul's like, hey, we'll talk about this. We'll go talk about this. Clearly, they came up with a plan here, and it looks like the heels maybe think they've outsmarted the general manager because, as Aldis stated, all Theory had to do was defeat Owens. He didn't say he had to pin him. He didn't say he had to make him submit. He just said he had to defeat him. And so Paul is kind of pointing to his head after he attacks Austin Theory here, or doesn't attack him. He just gives him a little bit of a slight punch. And even the referee's a little confused, but he's like, I have to ring the bell. So Paul pointing at his head, we can see these two, had this all gamed out from the start here. So pretty good chemistry for Owens and Theory. That's good to note for moving forward. But that is where we leave it this week because the heels have outsmarted the general manager here in this one. And it is Austin Theory defeating Kevin Owens in the main event. So what will happen? You'll find out next week. All right, now here they come, the Bloodline. They are here, and they have things to say. So Heyman comes out. He hands over the microphone to Roman Reigns. He wants everybody to acknowledge him, all the usual stuff from our tribal chief. And Reigns says, what are we doing here? Why are we out here? Everybody is just waiting. Like, what do I have to say? And Reigns says, here's what I've got to say. It's actually just a question. I want to know, has Cody Rhodes changed his mind yet as to who he wants to face at WrestleMania 40? Because he says, Cody, what else do we have to do? Like, we beat you down last week. I made it very clear. You've made a mistake. And, we all make mistakes. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to get out of your mistake. We haven't signed a contract. Like, nothing's official. All you got to do is walk your way back to Raw, and you can go challenge Seth Rollins, who I've beaten multiple times at this point. You can go challenge somebody else. You can go fight with Sammy, who I've beaten. You can go fight with Jay, who I've beaten. And you kind of got Jimmy and Solo here just kind of, cracking up a little bit. They're like, yeah, man, he's not wrong. He's beating these guys. And so Reigns just keeps going at it. He's like, come on, Cody. We all know how this story ends. Like, you're pushing this story. We've all known the ending from the start. If you're coming after me, the ending will always be the same. It's going to be a cliffhanger. And not because of who's winning, because of if you're going to be able to continue your career after you get in the ring with me. So, Cody, I'm here to say that I understand. I understand if you want to change your mind. And so that leaves me with something else that I would like to say, because I'm going to assume that you are going to change your mind and that you are going to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 40. And because I'm assuming that leaves me with no challenger for WrestleMania 40. However, I found the perfect challenger to face me in the biggest match in the history of WrestleMania at WrestleMania 40. And that is, before Reigns can continue, what happens? Here he comes. 84 for the segment. Cody is back. Cody makes his return. We see Cody coming out. He's still got sort of the marks from getting beaten down by Solo. And here comes Cody, and he sprints towards the ring, and the Bloodline a little bit caught off guard here as Cody able to get in a couple shots on Roman Reigns. Gets in a couple shots here on the other guys. He's just, wildly swinging right now because he's got 3 guys he's going after, right? So Cody's just throwing arms everywhere, trying to get a hit on somebody. And Cody trying to fight him off, but it's not happening. It's 3 against 1. He can't fight off all these guys. So Cody's just throwing arms everywhere. Crowd's losing their mind, and they know. They kind of see what's about to happen here. It's 3-on-1. What is Cody going to do, right? And so Cody throwing arms everywhere. And then we hear the music. 86 for this one. He's also back. Here comes Randy Orton, who last week we said was sort of dealing with a lingering injury from that fatal four-way match of the Rumble via the interference from Solo Sikoa. Randy Orton makes his way down, and now Cody's got some backup. As Orton comes in the ring, Cody's been able to get a few shots in on these guys, so they're not all just standing there. And Randy Orton able to sort of duck, a couple shots here from Reigns and Solo. That leads to Orton hitting an RKO on Jimmy. We get Reigns and Solo retreating after that because Cody's up. He's ready to go. And we've got two really fired up baby faces here as Cody and Randy are standing in the ring, absolutely furious here as we see Reigns and Solo retreat. Jimmy took the RKO. Heyman's on the outside. Again, Paul Heyman saw ghosts on Raw. He's seen another one here in Randy Orton. And so these guys sort of standing up here as we finish up with that as we go off the air for this edition of SmackDown. So Cody returns. Randy Orton returns. And the answer that Roman Reigns wanted seems to be pretty clear, that Cody has not changed his mind on facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So 99 for the segment here, and that's how we go off the air. Tremendous stuff in our show closing angle here. Get a little heat moving forward in this storyline heading towards WrestleMania 40. So get an 82 for this show. So we jump back up. We lost a little popularity, I think, in the last show or the one before. I don't remember exactly. But we'll get an 82 here. We added some stuff in. Like I said, man, the match stuff right now, some of these are just, they're a chore. But we'll see that start to pick back up. Next week, we've got some pretty exciting stuff coming up next week. There were a couple faces you did not see on this particular show that will be back on the show next week, and we'll kind of explain what was going on there with that. So there you go. That was this edition of SmackDown. Let's see what we get to before we wrap up. All right, so that was SmackDown. Looks like Montez Ford, a new catchphrase that he invented on WWE Main Event. So I did book Main Events, and that was a better show, I think, than I had the first time. But he did wrestle on Main Event. I couldn't tell you what happened. Let me just give you the results here. Ricochet defeated Jinder Mahal in the Main Event. Braun Breaker defeated Zion Quinn. Jade Cargill defeated Candice LeRae. Boy, two good matches there, huh? Creed Brothers defeated Pretty Deadly. Katana Chance and Caden Carter defeated the Unholy Union of Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. So, Montez Ford had something to say, I assume. Yeah, okay, so it was in this segment here so we got a 60 for Main Event. Again, please do not read into any of these whatsoever. I booked this show in about 5 minutes. So, just getting some action for some of those stars there. All right, let's look at our mail. Drug test fees. SmackDown 4.41. We will definitely take that. That's a lot of viewers. And then we get the drug test fees for Main Event. So, there's that. We got something here. I don't think this. I haven't reached out to anybody that I know of to hire, so I don't know what this is. Oh, we got an incident involving Jinder. Oh boy, we don't want to hinder Jinder, but Jinder, a steroid user by the WWE drug testing policy here. So we've got to decide what we want to do on this. Well, I mean, again, we don't want to hinder Jinder, so we will fine him for now, and that will be what we do. We're not going to suspend him. We're just going to fine him for right now because we may need him for the WrestleMania 40 Main Event. You never know. Roman Reigns did say he had a perfect opponent. Maybe he's talking about Jinder Mahal. I'm not sure, but for now, that's all we get for this edition of SmackDown. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out everything else we got going on the channel. If you're into the C-Verse stuff, hey, our TCW save, we are 2 weeks away from our biggest show of the year, Total Mayhem, and a lot of great feedback on that series. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's just different than a real-world save. So if you want to jump into that, hey, it's the same. We just do storytelling there. Like, I know you're not going to necessarily know the characters and all that, but I think we do a pretty good job of at least giving you the background for all these guys and trying to get you invested in the stories and the characters there. So check that out if you want to. And, of course, you can go back and check out the WWE 2021 save. 100-plus episodes we had going in that series. And you never know. We may eventually get to finishing WrestleMania on that one. We were only like a week or two away from WrestleMania in that save before we kind of just put that on pause. But, go check that out. And let me know what you thought of SmackDown. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like I said, I know things in WWE were not looking as great when I started this save in terms of everybody was angry about the Cody situation and all that, but they may have turned some things around with that WrestleMania kickoff event. That was Attitude Era-esque, just wildness everywhere and everything, but hey, who knows? We may add some of that stuff into the series and make it exciting moving forward. So I appreciate you guys always. Great feedback. And again, we will continue this particular road to WrestleMania. And that means on the next episode of our WWE 2024 Save, it will be Raw for February Week 3.